Has everyone got their microphone turned on? You need a microphone if you can.
We space you one down here, he'll space you this one.
Thank you.
Okay, we will call the meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals of Coffee County, June 26, 2025. We'll call the meeting to order. Has everyone had time to look over the minutes? And I will entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll
I'm
second.
good. Minutes been approved, or motion's been made by Kendall and seconded by Anna. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? See none. Moving on, we will move to the approval of the agenda. Is there anything needs to be added to the agenda or taken away?
Mr. Chairman, I move it be approved as presented.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No, likewise. That is approved. Next, we're going to move on to public comments. If we can, I'd like to keep public comments to 2 minutes, if we can. If the public would like to come up and speak, they're more than welcome to at this time.
Are you going to take comments per item?
Yes, ma'am, we will take, what we will do is have someone come and present each item, because we have a long agenda tonight. They'll present that, and then we will ask for comments from each item. And I would like to keep those comments under 2 minutes after the presenter. And that's due to the length of the meeting, because we will be here a long time. Any other public comments? Moving on, first item on the agenda is a variance, building setback, Ernest that's it, Novelio, Fire Lake Drive, map 087P, Group A, parcel 00100. Would you like to come up and present?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Would you like me here?
I'd like for you at the podium, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Thank you for seeing me again. I'm here under representation of Mr. Novelio, who is the client for purchasing the property. Last meeting in May, you requested that I get a fire flow test done on the hydrant out there near the lot for adequate fire flow.
Yes, sir.
As well as a setback for the adjoining building on the property next to the building.
Yes, sir.
I have a printout for Mr. I believe it's Hillis, I can get his name, of the fire flow
Okay.
for that. And the building.
You are Mike?
Yes, sir, I am. And the building on the adjoining lot setback is 26 feet from the lot lines that we had staked after a new survey was done on the property.
How much?
26 feet to the adjoining, the property, from the property line.
Yes, sir.
So there will be over a 50-foot separation between the two buildings.
But that, okay, that is not in current codes. I think it's went to 100 feet, correct, Mr. Mayor? The setbacks, that has passed, correct?
A1 district only is 50 feet side yard now.
Yes, sir. 50 feet from that, from the property line, correct?
Correct. Parcel line.
Yes, sir. So you're asking for a 26-foot variance?
On the adjoining side, do you still have the documents that we sent in? If not, do they still have those provided to you?
No,
I didn't
s-
know that. We bring those to the draw out.
that's what we have right here.
Yes, sir. So the variance that we're asking for is on the side that is closest to the cutout. So the original variances will still remain on the side that is adjacent to the building and the lot that has the house on it.
Okay, so you're saying you can approach right here,
Yes, sir.
and I handed these out, Lowell. You are 50 feet here from the property line.
Did that get changed since the last meeting?
No, sir.
Because the original, what we were told was 50 from the front, 25 from the sides.
And this was an old neighborhood. I remember having this conversation because it was an old established neighborhood where all the houses are that close together.
It was 50, 25, 25 for the front 50, sides for the 25. The variance we're asking for is on the left-hand side towards the cutout.
Towards
For the
this cutout?
access road, yes, sir. There's a cutout where it drops about 3 or 4 feet for a gravel road that goes down to the marina for the subdivision. And we're asking for that to be at 15 feet instead of 25 feet.
And you're 25 feet here,
Yes, sir.
Where's that
On both
25
sides.
feet center?
25 feet right here.
And the house on the other side is 26 feet from the lot line as well. So
This
we'll
one?
have to- Yes, sir.
So you are actually 50 feet from this residence.
Yes, sir. And I think that's what we, because I know Mr. Mayor said that without the fire flow.
Can
it
you
would
come
be-
point to this,
Yes,
please?
absolutely.
Oh, yes, that's, I apologize.
So the variance we're asking for is here on the back corner for the foundation of the home. To accommodate for the septic, our field lines are gonna need to be in the front of the home. And we're gonna set this back down the hill. For the current foundation for the plot he wants to put on, we would be at about 22 feet from this lot line as it cuts in on the property. So we're asking for that variance to be a 15-foot on this side only. We'll still comply with the 50-foot setback on this side, 25 here and 25 from the rear.
That would be, I think, subdivision regulations on that part.
Yes.
So,
And I remember one of the point of contention was the fire flow on that hydrant, I think. at
And
end of that
the
street.
fire flow on the hydrant is above 500 GPM.
Yes, sir. I believe
From,
it's 22,418.
Okay. It's actually 919 is what we would mark the hydrant.
At the flow, okay.
Yes,
I
sir.
thought you did
Yes,
off
sir.
the 20 PSI, so that's
No,
why.
sir.
it's-
That is off the other fittings. The GPM fire flow is 919, so it is above 500 GPM. You need to keep that, or?
No, sir.
Okay.
I brought that so you can see, that was emailed to me from the
Okay.
officials that did that.
So it does meet fire flow.
And I think the other point, or if we can go back to the last meeting, we had talked about the original variances on the subdivision were 5, 10, and 10. And that's why we wanted to check that the adjoining home was more than 25 feet from the lot line, so we get that 50-foot separation between the buildings, that now we have the fire flow.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Our subdivision regulations, this is for Fire Lake, the subdivision regulations says that buildings should be 100 feet separation, absence of fire flow. So
Mhm.
he now has fire flow established, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So that leaves you how much distance between structures?
50 feet.
Okay.
So the variance changed from the original variance, which was a 10-foot from the road frontage and side was 5 feet, to newer codes are 50-foot setback from the road and 25 side and rear. We're asking for that 25 on the adjoining side of the access road to be 15 instead of 25, so we can allow for the.
So you're
passage.
asking for a 10-foot variance.
And that's not a buildable lot either, anyway. That's
No,
beside
sir,
them, so.
it's not.
Isn't that a road access to the
It's
lake?
Yes, sir, it is the access road to the marina for the subdivision.
This is a dirt road, kind of gravel road?
It's a gravel road.
Okay.
That leads down to where their marina is.
Is that road public, private, county, or
It's
what?
private.
Private.
And I have already considered, Mr. Charles Miller is the fallback owner of that. He has a conditional lease to the subdivision for them to own it while the marina says the marina needs to be removed, and in that case, it falls back to his ownership.
And he's been notified and he didn't have any
Yes,
opposition?
ma'am, I spoke with him directly.
Okay.
And who owns the piece of property at this time?
I will have to pull that out.
Is it Charles Miller?
No, it is not Charles Miller. We're purchasing it from, give me one moment, let me pull.
The Joseph Rutkowski.
Yes, that is
You
it.
tap on that.
And we're set to close on that
Is this a
property on the
screenshot or
30th.
actually?
So
No,
Monday,
it's the
Saturday.
actual website.
You can tap on any one of them, see who owns what.
It appears to me that this lot is one of the few that's in irregular shape, at least other than the access lot. The rest of them appear to be normal lot-sized lots, and I think that's the reason for this
Yes, sir.
variance, right?
Exactly. Mhm.
So that makes it qualifying to me, but
You know Mike, do you know the square foot in this lot, square footage?
It's 0.3 acres.
Sir,
0.3 acres. I can calculate the square
just as a
footage.
comparison, what's lot 3 got in it?
Lot 3, I believe that one's 0.45 or 0.46 acres.
They're small lots.
They're all about 0.4 acres.
The fire flow proof is
It's good.
acceptable?
Yes, sir. If we don't have any other questions for him, we can ask if anybody else wants to speak on this.
I think that'd be in order.
Okay. You have any other questions? Thank you, and we'll see if anybody else wants to
Thank you very
speak. Is there anybody else that wants to speak on this agenda item? Thank you. Seeing none, we need to have a motion.
This was presented and discussed in detail at the last meeting, correct,
Yes, sir.
Sammy?
Yes, sir.
And I wasn't here.
Okay, so did you mention it's a non-buildable lot? Is that what he said?
The private drive here is a non-buildable lot.
Okay,
from
not
my-
the lot itself?
Not the lot itself.
Okay.
But we are, I guess, satisfied with the right-of-way and all the various components of this.
Okay.
I'm assuming, cause the only thing I seen in the last month's minute was the fireproof.
I think that was the only real
Okay.
major issue.
What size structure is he going to put on this?
Sir, if you don't mind, what size structure were you gonna put on it? I know that was brought up last time. It was about 1,800 square feet, best of my,
It's a little less than that. It's a 2-bedroom. I believe the dimensions, I have that right here. Give me one moment.
it was not a very large structure, best of my memory. Now, that's going off memory.
$1,200 to 1,500 square feet.
Yeah, I'm thinking 2-bedroom.
So there should only be like 300 linear feet of septic, so there's only 2 lines, not that much really.
Yeah, there's nothing we can, that's up to the state on that decision.
I apologize.
You're fine. We should have asked you when we were,
Just on the surface, there seems to be a lot of very close questionable questions on this, but I'm assuming everybody looked at it last time and was satisfied.
yeah, it is, what he's needing is a 10-foot variance on the gravel road corner being that it's a triangle lot. That is my understanding.
That's correct.
Is this the turnaround we were
Yes, sir.
talking about?
No, sir.
This sliver right here is beside it. This is the access down to a boat dock for the community. So that's why it's not a buildable lot. They just have a gravel road down to the water. So this is the only thing it really encroaches on is this. And the grade of the land didn't appear to be, from what they were saying, an issue either. It's not more than a 20% grade or anything like that.
So,
Is this considered part of Old Seminary Road?
no, that's a different.
Different one.
Different one.
Okay.
That's a different agenda item.
It's just Fire Lake.
20 to 30 feet between all the other houses.
Do whatever.
It's 20 to 30 feet between all the other houses in the neighborhood.
This matched the entire neighborhood. That's what we determined last meeting. This build, other than the encroachment on the one property line, matched the build of the rest of the neighborhood. But due to the irregular size of the lot was the only holdup, which made it difficult for them. That was their,
Thank you.
sure.
I was able to get the floor plan to download if you'd like to see it. It's right at about 1,600 square feet.
Okay. There's nothing
You
else?
said 1,500 square feet?
Yeah,
That's right.
16.
16.
16.
And it is a two-story.
So it'll be a smaller footprint.
Yeah.
It seemed like what he was said with the foundation actually wasn't be that close. It was the overhang they were concerned about being actually close inside that
I think so.
setback.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Anna has made the motion to approve this. Kendall has second. Did you get that?
I do.
All right. Proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That variance passes with a 5-0 vote. Thank you. It passed. Okay, that one. Now then, I'm gonna hand out a second packet. And if you would pass them around. Moving on to agenda item 2. Variance request access Arno Ilner, Cross Creek map 070 parcel.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Would you please ask for public comment prior to the presentation of each variance? Prior to,
Before?
before, yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's the way it's set up. State law plainly says that public comment is to be had prior to the business. So,
Okay.
But if you wanna do them one at a time, at least let them speak prior to the
Prior to the
presentation.
business?
Please.
Okay. If, we can change our format there. Branch request access with Arno Ilger, Cross Creek map 070 parcel 01801. Public comments on this? Does anyone have public comments?
Is the public comment when you wanna speak on the item?
Yes, ma'am.
Or is it, do I speak after him?
You speak before,
Okay,
Only before, okay?
Only
That's
before.
TCA requirements. It's actually all public comments should be made prior to the start of the meeting.
Okay,
To the meeting?
But, yes, after the agenda is approved, that is TCA law. So all I'm asking is, it gets a little bit hectic with as many as we have tonight. So having them speak to each item individually is A-okay, but let them speak before the presentation.
okay,
The public comment.
okay.
Well, the public opposition, if you're opposing.
It
It,
doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter if you're for or against.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give each of you these packets, and it's not as bad as it looks. It's simply some pictures to kinda help you go along with what I'm saying. Let's see if I can-
Mr. Lowell, did you get one of these?
Yeah.
Her wants to share.
Okay, okay.
Okay, how many did I give out?
I guess,
Thank you.
I guess you gave out,
I should have
Five,
given out
five,
five,
it's,
did
it's
I?
five, I've got
Okay.
two, so.
I wanna make sure I have mine.
and can we try to keep, I know this is a long packet here.
It is, but I'll try to talk fast.
Yes, ma'am.
So keep up, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I know it's a lot, but I'll really try to consolidate it. Arno Ilgner is asking for a variance through a 10-foot granted, a court easement granted through my property. My property is, Kathy Ridge is here, my 80 acres here. It's not 80 anymore, but it's close. Arno's is here, well, he and his siblings are here. So our two farms butt together and are sandwiched between Kathy Ridge Road and Pea Ridge Road. Just a little history. Now, when subdividing a tract of land, access should be given to each parcel. Arno's parcel of land should have been given road access when Harry Ilgner, his father's, 80.3 acre farm was subdivided in 2021. Arno Ilgner's parcel was landlocked at the time that Ilgner siblings subdivided their property, 80.3 acre farm, into 4 parcels. 3 of the parcels had Pea Ridge Road frontage. Arnold's had no road frontage. I'm confused as how subdividing a tract of land while landlocking a parcel is even legal. I'm not sure how that can be done. If it could, why can't I subdivide mine and my last lot landlock it and put that burden on a different tract? Okay, the Ilgners considered giving Arno access to his property when subdividing. At the time they subdivided, they decided that they were gonna give him, now how do I know that? If you look at picture number 1, hit the packet number 1, and I labeled it, that's Martin excavating bid. The Ilgner siblings were aware that Arno's parcel was landlocked and sought bids to build a road to his property. In June of 2021, prior to the father's passing of July 2021, and prior to them filing a lawsuit on me, they hired Martin Excavation to locate reasonable access and submit a bid to construct a road. July 5th, prior to his dad's, 2021, prior to his dad's passing, prior to any lawsuit filed, Mr. Martin presented a bid. Lawyer Reader, at this time now, after this, 23rd of July, they filed a lawsuit against me. Lawyer Reader, which was Mr. Ilgner's, Arno's lawyer, acknowledged, and you will see that on this, right behind the bid in number 1, you'll note, and I highlighted everything so you could see it and go quicker. Lawyer Reader acknowledged in his brief that Martin's bid and described it as the new road and would reasonably accommodate a vehicle traversing. Without action, the quote expired August 31st of 2021 after missing the quote period and the quote period, and approached a year or so later. According to testimony, Martin said the bid would increase 20% due to rising costs. His original bid was, as you see on the quote, $79,600. Morgan Excavator, they not only sought one bid, they sought 2. Morgan Excavator also bid on putting in a road. I don't have access to that. The court records could not find that it was entered, but it was noted as a bid. And I'm thinking there might have been another one that they think they might have missed. Morgan Excavation also provided the bid. It wasn't entered in the chancery log, therefore I don't have access to that bid. The pursuit of bids does show that the Ilmers were aware that parcel number 1, prior to subdividing, needed access. Again, I'm gonna say, I don't know how you can even subdivide your property and leave somebody without road frontage. There is, number 2, there is an existing downstairs access drive. If you look at number 2,
If you can, unless someone else wants to give you time, about out of
well,
time.
I am not through. I have made no point.
Okay,
Ariane's deed, if you look at number 2, Ariane's deed says that there's a downstairs access drive. That's in the deed, so therefore there was another option for them to go from the top part of the property down to Arno's property. And that is referenced in the deed. Vickers Excavation gave a bid on that, went over, looked at it, and walked it. You'll see the pictures in there of the downstairs driveway that is very well manicured. And they went down the downstairs driveway to the old home place, Vickers and I did, and he gave a bid of $65,000 to build a road down that bid. So now he's got at least 2 bids that we know are floating. The other part will go quicker. I'm sorry it's taking
Well.
time. Okay, so he has provisions for a road to the property. He had the provisions for the road from the property prior to filing a lawsuit on me, prior to seeking a variance, prior to subdividing the property. The lawsuit was filed, now this is important, for 50 feet ingress egress. He, lot number 1, and his sister, lot number 4, they call the downstairs of the property, filed a lawsuit asking for 50 feet ingress egress easement. Now, they also tried to prove a public road, but we won't go there because the judge, Benton Bartlett, debunked that very quickly. In 1959, when moving to the old home place from Ohio, this is what testimony showed, that the Ilners came in through Pea Ridge Road, not my road, Kathy Ridge Road, but they came in through Pea Ridge Road to their home place. So they knew that Pea Ridge Road was their home place. The trailer turned over, filled with their goods, and so then from that time on, they started going through what was Dr. Galbraith's property, which is now my property. We butt up together. Dr. Galbraith did not live there. They entered an exit. Till 1974, the old house burned. They moved to the new house in 1972 that they built at the top of the hill. And so they entered through that. Now, this went to court, July of 2024, the court granted parcel 1, Arno, a 10-foot easement based on historical use, 1959 to 1974. The judge said, I know they didn't get 20 years for prescriptive easement, but what if I look at the 15 they do have and give them the other 5? That was the exact comment he made, and that's exactly what he did. So I have lived by that, but he gave
Okay,
them.
so, hold on, let me just summarize this.
Okay,
I'm losing track of this. So what
Okay.
you're saying is, long story short, is they have an access from another side, which was technically their family's land, and that's where you want them to go through.
well, no, they still have 10 foot through me, the court ordered that,
Okay,
but they didn't.
so they
order-
always get to keep
They
that.
always get to keep that, but
Okay.
it's based on historical use from 59 to 74, which is what my appeals lawyer told me. And they can only do, and what did they do from 1959 to 1974? They never had in all the years in testimony, and that would be 30 that I've been involved, never met one person on that easement, or their in way out. They never had but one person visit them, and that was a guy delivering a concrete mixer to his dad. They never had any family that they talked about or friends that they talked about. Nobody, not one person, including myself, in 30 years did they ever see coming in and out of my place. A little bit unbelievable to me, but the judge, it was based on 59 to 74, and that was before my time.
It's this one.
Okay, now, The court granted Arno, only he and his sister both, lot 1 and lot 4, sued me for 50 feet easement. The judge gave them 10 feet easement based on historical use. Now, there has to be a reason that he did that. And now he's asking this committee to go above and beyond that and give him that 50 feet the judge wouldn't give him. And that concerns me. First it concerns me, the first concern is that their family is allowed to subdivide a parcel and leave somebody landlocked. The second thing is that landlocked piece burdens my property. Yes, he has 10 feet, but it's historical use. That's one vehicle, one family, no construction. His father going in and out periodically with a truck that has, water jugs on it to water their gardens. And that was the extent of and I'm just about through.
Okay.
Now, if you look at number 6, that's where TDA, my property, at one time it had lots of road frontage, not mine, but when Dr. Galbraith owned it. The Normandy Lake came in, it took 3 sides of my property. You'll see an access, number 5, you'll see number 6, you'll see a TDA written access.
Okay.
Now, if you go back to number 5, it does talk about, that rule order does talk about, the judge did not expand and he did not shrink what was historically
Ma'am,
used.
I'm gonna
Yes.
stop you, so,
Mhm.
as far as I know, the notes I have is 25 feet state law. I mean, we can't really prove what the state law doesn't allow.
Well, we don't even know what he's asking.
He wants 50 feet, right?
We don't know.
We
He
can get that
does.
far.
I'll tell you, he does.
Well,
Well, he wants codes, he wants a building permit, isn't that 50 feet?
yes,
Okay.
but there is variances in there that.
Well, I understand, that's why we're here.
Yes, ma'am. But,
Are you telling me there's always a loophole?
no, ma'am. I'm telling you that there are variances that can be allowed if the property was lot of record. That's what this is. I mean, I'm not for sure until he presented.
51 years ago, that house burned or more.
Well, the property still stands.
Well, that's true.
The property is there, and this, whatever is passed, yes or no tonight, will be tied to that property, not tied to the house, not tied as long as he owns, or as long as whoever owns that property, it will stay with that property. Does that make sense?
Well, I see it as a loophole.
What?
Okay, number 8, let's look at, first of all, I wanna say, once again, his siblings should have subdivided that property and give him a 50-foot easement in and out. The court chose not to do that, and for 2.5 years and $150,000 later, he only gave him 10 feet. There was a reason behind that.
Okay.
You look at my ingress, egress out of there that Dr. Galbraith had, it is only 10 feet. Now look at the pictures, please. And if you look at those pictures, you'll see my truck. I see that you're looking at it now. You see my truck takes up every bit of that. I have met Arnold's little car on there. He had to back up all the way to the bridge. There's a 12-foot bridge to get into that property. So that's my property. Now let's go to number 8. Look at that picture. October the 23rd, that is Arno Ilmer coming through my driveway with a convoy of equipment and trucks. How do you possibly navigate my farming and the enjoyment of my property if you grant him an easement, define what TVA gave him, what the court gave him, how can you possibly go over that and accept that my property has to be like this? Because it says historical use, this is not historical use. There was never a culvert put in, there was no testimony to a culvert, and no testimony to building equipment, and that's what you all are gonna be opening up, testimony to a building equipment. And my argument's gonna be, if you look at this house being there one time, Hardaway had a house way down there on the lake. If I subdivide my property, then I will be able to come back up here and get a variance, which is gonna make my property so much more valuable, and you're gonna have everybody in the county doing the same. Because 100 years ago, there were houses all over the place that's not standing there anymore. Now, I want you to look, this is the most important thing I'm gonna say to you tonight. I want you to look at this picture, and I want Arno to look at this picture. Arno, this is my grandchildren. They play in that creek all the time. One of them's as little as 2 years old. When they come to Grandmommy's house, this is what they do. They play in the creek, they ride, you see the trails I've made for them, and they have to come down this easement road to do anything if they wanna play in the creek. If they wanna ride their four-wheelers, this is where they are. How are we gonna feel when that convoy of vehicles doesn't see one of them and it kills them? When he could have a different access into the property, only because he was not given access through his family, and he got bids. They knew, so I've proven that he's got 2 bids at least and more. And he had, and I even got him a bid, even said I would pay for building that road. If he had let Gary Vickers, you have Gary Vickers be in there, I would pay to go down that downstairs driveway if he would just let Gary Vickers build that road. That is not what he chose to do. Okay, I'm 2 minutes away, and I know I only have 2 minutes, but I'm gonna make it quick. I pray this board will not override the court order. I know I've said that before. I pray this board will not expand the easement by granting a variance. I pray this board will deny the application. I pray that Ilner siblings will provide Arnold with access through their property as they consider doing so by pursuing a bid for construction of a road. He has the right to enjoy his property. I want him to have a home there. I am opposed to him building a cabin when given a variance above and beyond the court order. His siblings should provide him access to build a road and that he can use while building. He's not permitted to go above historical use, but he's going to. He's already done it on that picture I showed you with the convoy coming down October the 23rd, maybe. The Ilners are a tight-knit family. They will give him a variance. They're just sucking this for all it's worth. They're getting out of me and taking as much from me as they can take while the going's good. Once that stops, and this board can stop it, otherwise I'll have to sell my place. My place will have to be history. I cannot farm. I have big farm trucks. We do hay. We're doing hay today. I have grandchildren on that road. I cannot do that. That's what I've done 30 years, and I never met that man till October 2021, nor his dad, nor his siblings, nor heard of them. And now they want to take over my property.
Did you introduce yourself?
Faye Coleman, Faye Neal Coleman. I did not, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Faye.
Okay. I pray that this board will not further burden my property. The burden should be on the property that was subdivided. If you look at Arnold's construction convoy, and he didn't care. I said to him that day, you are not allowed to, and I stopped him. And that's when we took pictures. You are not allowed to do this. The court granted you historical easement based on use. And his comment was, well, that piece of equipment's not bigger than my dad's truck. He finds this, and you know, I like him. In a different world, we could probably be friends. But I do not like when somebody comes in and takes over my property. I do not mind him building there. If he builds there, we'll be great neighbors. But we won't if he takes my property.
I understand. We need to wrap it up.
Okay. I pray that the last thing I want you to look at is my grandchildren playing. That's the last thing I want you to take a look at. Now, one other thing, I don't think to get into my property, the first 700 feet is the variance. The 10 foot only. When Dr. Galbraith's property got taken, TVA gave him 10 feet only. That is 7 feet long going up to my house. Can you all even grant a variance over TVA, federal land? TVA tells me no. Talked to him today. They said if you need that in writing, he'll be glad to provide it. His comment, I believe, was federal land trumps
County. Yes, ma'am. It
Okay.
does.
And I pray that this board will consider my limited access on my huge farm. That's my livelihood, you all. I sell hay. I can't do those things anymore. This is not fair. Now, life's not fair, and I'm not playing the victim. And I'll go away here with a smile. But I'm not happy that this man continues to go through the weeds to get access to my property. What he wants and what he will get, if you all do that tonight, it will be a private drive through my property. It will become, when you give a 50-foot variance, he has a private drive. You know what he did the first day when the you know what he did the first day when the court ordered and gave him the 10 feet? He cut 15.
Okay.
He cut my trees down. He threw them on the ground, and I texted him and said, "You gotta pick up my trees." These are the things he does, and I'm not talking about him, but I'm telling you how he does.
I understand.
I'm through. I hope that you all consider my
That's a lot.
request. I know,
That's a
Thank
type
you.
C, yeah.
Oh, that's new.
I know that it's a very big long
If you could
shot,
power it through that
and
box,
I
that's
think,
wonderful.
in all honesty, I'm probably,
Do you want these back?
I would like to have them back unless you need them.
Well,
I'm probably gonna need them for appeals court.
okay.
But if you need them to study, you are welcome to them. Anybody wants to keep theirs, keep them.
I would like to know which one's your driveway. That's what I'm trying to figure out here once all
Cross
this.
Creek Drive.
We got 2%.
700 feet of Cross Creek Drive is my driveway. It has been for 30 years. It belongs to TVA, but I have a written access in. You want to help me find it on the map?
How many other people have
Let's
access?
cross creek.
Nobody has access on that. Nobody has ever had access on that drive.
Okay, thank you.
So that drive is through TVA property right there.
The first 700 feet.
Okay, then at the corners where,
At the corner, my land spreads out left and right, and that easement is right through it. And you know, I will live with that. I'm okay with that. I'm just not okay with overstepping what the judge said, what the judge intended. The judge intended, otherwise he would have given him the 50 feet, but he chose not to.
Man,
There's got to be a reason.
we're not, you know, that's civil, and we're not civil at all. I mean, this is not civil law right here. We just have to do,
I don't understand.
okay, civil law is where you go to a lawyer and a judge.
We've
That-
done that. He
okay.
got 10 feet.
Okay.
Can you override that? That's the question. Will you override that? Is it right to override what the judge said? You don't know what the judge intended.
Well, I
He's
don't
not
know what
here.
he's asking yet. That's the
Okay,
question.
I'll tell you what he's asking.
Well, ma'am,
Well, let's-
he
let's-
he needs to hear,
I
he
won't
needs to hear.
tell, I won't say anymore.
you have said your piece, so.
All right.
More than my piece. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
If you want to give those back to me, you can. I just ask you not to share them with anybody else that I don't
Thank you,
need
Ms.
them.
Coleman.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to me. When will we get the answer on this?
Hopefully tonight.
Okay.
Anyone else has any public comments on this agenda item? Okay, would Mr. Arno like to come forward?
My name's Arno Ilgner, and this is Nick Northcutt.
Speak up a little bit, please.
Arno Ilgner and Nick Northcutt.
And I was gonna be, helping, Mr. Ilgner out with this, and, we got a little plat to throw out on the table here, if y'all wanted to look at it, to give you a little perspective on things. We also had a couple other things we wanted to throw out here to share with y'all. So, these are old TVA maps that show the road, and,
Okay.
and this is another TVA map which shows the 10-foot road. So just to give you a little back history about this property. This farm has been in the Ilgner family since 1955. The Ilgner family had a home on this property, and the driveway to that home was the drive in question here, otherwise now known as Cross Creek Drive. This is the driveway that we're requesting the variance for. This road, we understand, that Ms. Coleman passionately objects to this. However, as she had stated, they did, have to go to court about this road. This road was in place when Ms. Coleman bought her property, and this road has been there for over 100 years. This road has always been used to access the bottom part of the Ilgner farm. Now, Ms. Coleman has spent the last, 20 minutes or so rehashing a court case that has already been decided. The judge also decided that the Ilgners did in fact have continuous use of this. And the reason the judge gave 10 feet was because that was all that they had across TVA. TVA granted a 10-foot easement through Ms. Coleman, and he's also got written letter from TVA showing that he's got the same written permission to use the 10 feet that Ms. Coleman does.
On the same property.
On his property, yes.
No, but I'm saying I have the
Now,
county.
On Ms. Coleman's property also, she has 10 feet
it's the same
from
road.
TVA,
It's the
yes.
same drive. So it's the
That's
same
where
road.
Up into your
owns my
laptop?
entire property.
So the same road that she's talking about,
Look it
hay
up and-
trucks and everything else coming out of, those are the same, that's the same driveway that we're referring to, accessing the bottom portion of the Ilgner property. Now, the reason, this was set up like it was because in 1996, Mr. Ilgner's father set up his will and trust for that property. And in 1996, he determined which kids were gonna get which portions of the property. So Ms. Coleman is correct that he does have siblings that do front on Pea Ridge Road. But this portion of land was always intended to be accessed by Cross Creek Road like it has always been. The other siblings that she's referring to are not interested in giving an easement across their property because, to Ms. Coleman's point, the putting a driveway from Pea Ridge Road down there would be cost prohibitive, to say it at best. And it would be probably about a 15% slope, consistently, possibly more, which is a very steep driveway to have to maintain. So basically, there is a trail that is there now, but it's a four-wheeler trail, and you'll get puckered up driving up and down it. So that's what she's referring to, putting a driveway up and down.
Is that four-wheeler, trail, is that on or a part of this 10-foot right-of-way?
No, it's on the other sibling's property. It
Okay.
goes from the top at Pea Ridge down to the bottom down in this valley.
Okay.
So the variance process was put in place to allow for existing properties that didn't conform to current zoning resolutions to be able to use their property. Mr. Ilgner is seeking this variance to be able to build a home back on the spot where his old home place once stood and use the driveway that always accessed his property and his farm. This property also certainly qualifies as steep, which is one of the conditions noted in the reasons for a variance request. So, to a couple of the other points made, Ms. Coleman is saying, well, what's stopping her from dividing another piece of property? Well, the major difference in what she's saying and what this is that this is an existing road that has always been used to get to this part of the farm. And that was the way it was divided and intended to be used back in 1996, 10 years prior to the adoption of the zoning resolution. And also, we're not asking for an extension of any easement. We know that we don't want to be any more of an encumbrance on Ms. Coleman's property as at all possible. But we are asking for a variance to be able to use the 10 feet. The variance cannot go above and beyond what the court has ordered. And the court only allowed the same access to Mr. Ilgner that was granted to Ms. Coleman, which was 10 feet, because that's what's on the old TVA maps that you've got there. So anyway, we argue that the existence of the Ilgner farm and the division of it back in 1996 in his will and trust predated the adoption of the zoning ordinance, and it should qualify as a lot of record. And we're seeking a variance to be able to use this 10 feet that they have always used.
Why are you not using it currently?
Well,
We are using it, but we're wanting a variance so that I can get a building permit.
So to my understanding, current code says you have to have a 50-foot variance to build a house, correct?
50-foot easement, yes, sir.
And this was a lot of record, and you had a 10-foot entrance that you had,
That's correct.
and you're needing a variance for a 10-foot entrance that's always been there, because this is a lot of record that we had before codes, correct?
That's correct. To
And
build,
summing it up,
to build one residence back where the former residence was, yes, sir.
And this structure residence may be used daily.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that question. What was your question, Em? I didn't hear it. Could you repeat?
the residence may be used daily.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, when we lived there, I grew up there, and when we lived there, we used it daily. Went to school, catch the bus, and I just wanted to build a house. Small house back there where the old home place was.
Is there space and accessibility for another home?
Not really, because a lot of it is, as you can see on the topographic map, very steep. But the old home place is one of the only flat places on the lower part of the farm.
Are your thoughts that you would live there continuously and constantly?
No, I live in Laverne right now with my wife, but we
Where do
would
you
like
live in Laverne? What's your address?
315 Oakwood Cove
Okay.
in the Woodland Hills subdivision. But would like to build a little cabin there to go there maybe a few days a week, something like that.
Is the cabin already tore down or it's still standing?
You know, the old house that was there burned down, like Ms. Coleman said, in 1974.
Okay.
So I'm right now looking at what it would cost to build a small cabin back there.
Okay.
So maybe to answer your question about whether other residences could be built in there, regardless as to whether it was flat or not, you wouldn't be able to use this driveway to access any other residences on that part of the farm.
You can't really be subdivided.
As ex officio member of this body, I've got a question. Are you asking for a variance to build a house using the 10-foot right-of-way? Or are you asking to grant a 50-foot right-of-way through her property easement?
No variance to get a building permit to use the existing easement put in place already.
Correct, so
Yes.
you're not
10
gonna
foot.
use more of her property.
Like the judge, like she said,
Yeah.
we don't wanna go above or beyond what the judge.
I would like to point out that Tennessee law, has it not changed, the court of law cannot grant more than 25 feet, which sometimes runs headlong into our 50-foot requirement, which, like I said, the court cannot grant more than 25. So having said that, you're not asking to widen the easement. You're just wanting, they want
He just wanted a building permit
correct.
using this 10-foot.
So, and to that point, if he were to have granted anything that was wider than 10 foot, it would have gone from Kathy Ridge along the existing 10-foot easement, you know, accessing Coleman, and then it would have had to have gotten wider to a 25-foot wider and then gone into his property. So it still starts at 10 foot coming off of Kathy Ridge.
Because of
anyway.
TVA,
Yeah,
due to TVA.
Yes,
and it's on that old map.
Yes,
right
sir,
there.
yes.
Just to clarify, the court granted ingress and egress 10 feet, you know, to use that road. So that's not an issue. What's an issue is we want to get a variance for a building permit
Yep.
based on what the court granted.
Is this the area right here on the map that you're looking at right here?
Yes.
So this is the road bed right along this property
Road
line
that runs
here.
up above
Yes, sir.
803 right there, where it says 803.
Okay, and right along in here,
Yeah, it goes right out there.
right through the middle, okay. So this right here is there's a deep gully here
It's a little bit far.
and a gully here,
Yeah, but that's
And
on.
there, and, yeah.
yeah.
We have 3D renderings of it if you'd like to see it.
I think I got the point. I know that area well. I live in that area.
Is the road the 10-foot road that you're using now, is it emergency vehicle, could emergency vehicles get in and out?
Yes.
Ingress, egress?
Yes, after he cut my trees, they sure can.
We've had,
Okay.
like Ms. Coleman said, I wanted to put in some culverts to get across the creek that was washed out. And we had a dump truck, that's pretty wide, and it's construction equipment, that went in there just fine.
Okay.
It's a standard driveway width.
But it doesn't require a four-wheel drive truck or anything like that to get
No.
through there, right?
I drive my Prius in and out of there all the time. Did so today.
You
If
know,
this is
Mr.
approved, this
Northcutt-
would definitely guarantee them the opportunity to get a building permit. Is that a true statement?
Say that again, Lowell.
If their request is granted,
Yes.
that would definitely, put them in a position to not be opposed in getting a building permit.
Yes.
And really just wanting to do what, used to, build something like we've used before. Like we had a house there before, and just like to put another one there to enjoy the land that I inherited.
How many acres is in that? 18.01?
It's, around 30.
30.
Well, you have a big time on that, 30 acres.
That's beautiful.
Any other questions? You have any?
No,
I can't
No.
think of any.
I will tell you that I called Mr. Northcutt's father when this thing about a road going through there, and your dad told me that there was not a road that he would call everyone through there. Your dad knows everything. And now you're saying there is, but I disagree.
I mean, it's on the TVA map.
When was
No,
the,
it's not.
let's don't do this
Yeah.
here. We don't need to do this in the meeting.
Yes, sir, thank you.
When was this court order? Was it seems like it was
July 23rd,
of this year.
yes,
No.
2020.
No. Right.
74. 74. The property, the driveway was
The court order that, granted us the
73.
ingress and egress.
Yes.
73?
It was
2024.
March of last year.
Well, a new one, must be a
they
new one, she
granted
didn't
the
give
10
us that.
foot.
Okay.
She didn't give us that.
I make a motion to approve. The driveway was already there. They have to rebuild what's existing. And my eyes and theirs, I really don't see any reasonable way to get in from the other way.
We have a motion on the floor to approve this from Anna. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Lowell Duke. Any other discussion on this? If not, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, it passes with a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
I'll let you know when my grandchildren get hurt.
Well, we pray that never happens. Did you get all your information that you brought? Okay, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 3, if you would pass one of them around.
Sure.
We will be moving to agenda item 3, special exemption request, single wide in a C1 zone, Patricia Hannah, 9020 Hillsborough Highway. Do I hear any public comments on this? Anyone on single wide? Seeing none? Are you Miss Hannah? Okay, if you would like to come up and present.
This is from the tax office. We're talking about this
Okay.
property here on map 115.
Okay. Thank you.
property is actually owned by my son, and,
Is your son Robert Hannah?
yes,
And what is your name?
Patricia Hannah.
Patricia. Thank you, Patricia.
And we just want to put grandma back in the corner.
Okay.
It will be a brand new double wide. We already have a septic permit, and, the surveyor finished his measurements last week. I'm still waiting for the actual diagram or whatever you call it from him. And it will include the setbacks and everything. Bill has public water at the road. The land is to remain intact, even though it will be, surveyed into a second plot. It's all gonna be retained by my son.
So just let me verify that there's already an existing driveway and you're just in a house in a C1. So the house is already in a C1 zone.
Yes,
Okay,
and there will be the easement for the driveway.
okay.
And right up in this corner up here is where you want to put the mobile home?
Yes, sir. Well, right behind the,
Somewhere right here,
end of
right here?
trees.
Okay,
Yeah.
right here.
Right. Some of
Okay.
the trees are already gone.
Okay.
How fast can I go?
May I ask where you're currently living?
I'm living with my son.
Okay. Trying to get mom out of the house.
That's exactly what my daughter-in-law thinks.
Here's the code for having multiple residents on a single driveway.
She said double.
How
wide.
much
This one says
road
single
access do we have?
This,
I know you,
I have not seen what the surveyor came up
I
with,
think
but
so.
I realized that we need
Oh,
at least
I
50
got you.
yes, ma'am.
Hers is a double.
Even though if you use the same driveway, it needs to be.
Right.
Are you gonna parcel this off in case it ever is parceled off?
He's
I have
asking.
no idea what my son intends to do. He plans
I
to
don't
stay
think so.
there until I'm not
He's
there
asking you to
anymore.
parcel.
But for future,
For future, I don't know. Once I'm dead and gone, he may do
But-
it, but
okay.
I don't know that he will use that particular plot or have it resurveyed. The plot is not changing hands. It's gonna remain part of the 10.1 acres.
Okay.
May I ask what they told you in our code enforcement office when you were applying for this?
Had to have 50 foot of road frontage to make sure when we got it surveyed that the easement for the driveway was put in.
Well, let me stop you there. You are gonna survey for a separate parcel for this home,
Yes.
but you haven't done it yet.
No, it's been surveyed, we just haven't got the paperwork back from the surveyor.
Oh,
The septic permit has already been obtained from Mr. Charbonneau and approved, and we're just waiting on a building permit.
And this is in C1, not A1?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So this is still applying, it's just a remote.
I think it's called
She's
some type
saying
of
she has
subdivision or
had
something.
it surveyed, so you're splitting one parcel into two.
Two.
Cause you cannot have two
Residence.
primary residential structures on one parcel.
Correct.
Unless you're A1, 15 or more acres, and you're allowed up to 3. So you're,
Yes, sir, it is being split technically, even
Yeah.
though he's going to
it'd
remain.
be nice if you
ownership.
already had your plat here for the body to look at.
Yes, it would.
Who's your surveyor?
Blake Sexton.
Okay.
Cause you have to meet all your setbacks.
Yeah.
Do you know how large the new parcel's gonna be?
Not exactly, I believe he's making it at least 2 acres. It may be larger than that to accommodate for the septic and all
That
those
2
things.
acres going with the primary residence or the proposed,
The proposed. The primary residence is already there. It already has everything it needs. We're just asking to take a portion of that and let me put a single wide out there in the corner. But it has been surveyed to separate it into 2 separate lots.
Is there gonna be a separate driveway?
No,
Or use the
there
same
will be an
driveway?
easement included.
Okay,
in
an
it.
easement, okay.
But you will have 50 foot with your new survey.
Minimum.
same drive access in it. There ain't on a state road.
I don't think there is, cause she's,
Because she's putting on a separate parcel and they're providing an easement.
but it doesn't matter if she has, just so she has 50-foot access, she don't have to use it. Best of my memory in our training.
I'm not certain, but I think my son said that they could make the driveway that's existing a private road.
And then it would have to bring up to, if you
That would be
subdivide off of it.
irrelevant. As
Yeah.
long as you got the 50-foot easement servicing your parcel that you're creating, you're good.
Yeah,
And that will be included in the survey.
any other questions?
I think that the issue I'm having without the plat being here is that this stuff is provided or not. So if we grant the variance now,
The code has to verify that and she's not gonna get a permit unless she has that in front of them.
but we
Really,
attach it
that's
to the
their,
property.
The question
Territory.
that we have is, she has to come before this board to be able to put a house trailer
Right.
and a C1. It's not the plat or anything, as long as the plat fits, that goes through the codes department. The house trailer is what she's got to come here
Right.
for.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion's been made to approve by Anna. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Summer. We'll proceed to vote if there's no other discussion. All in favor of this, say aye. All opposed? Seeing none, it passes with a 5-0 vote. Thank you very much.
For a point of clarification, this, our agenda says you were asking for a single wide, but didn't I hear you say you're putting a new double wide? or-
No.
It is a new
Their
single
home
wide.
is a double
I
wide.
got you, 10-4.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on to item number 4 on our agenda. Should we pass that? Item 4 on the agenda is a variance request, access with Michael Logan, James Robert Lane, map 057, parcel 018.02. Is there any public comment on this issue? Seeing none. Are you Mr. Logan?
I am, Michael
Okay.
Logan. And, really what I'm gonna try not to take too much time.
Thank you.
I've got, property that's, one section is 4.5 and one is 5. And, I have to go through the 5 to get to the 4.5, so, that being said, this has been used for many years. There used to be a bunch of mobile homes in there. When I bought this, which was back, I've been there 18 years. I took all the old mobile homes out of there like that. So, I've improved the property, it looks good, and, I wanted to, my wife passed away a year ago in March, so since then, which I never was gonna get married again, but I did, and so we wanna build a nice little house. And, so on this 5-acre tract, is where we'd like to, and what I wanted to get the building permit, and what they're, needing, my drive, part of that drive is, it's a long drive, and, part of it is, 35 feet, I guess. And I know, even emergency vehicles, have been in there, ambulance, like.
You said 35 feet.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. And, stuff in there, so you'd have a good idea. But, you know, I try to tell my life story in 5 minutes.
I understand.
Good, but, so there's a good well on there. When I first moved to Tennessee, from Texas back in '84, I didn't know anybody, so we rented a place there on that property. And we went to other places and lived there, and went back and bought this property somehow. I don't know how that happened, but it's easier for me to just stay there, but since that didn't work out, I've got it now. And, the septic tank has been approved, Charbonneau or whatever his name is, I think I've got it right. He's already approved the septic, and it's really good farmland, so it really would, it had like 8 or 10 mobile homes there. It was all septic tanks back and down the drive. So, one section, he has a little map of it. This section that's right here is County Farm Road is here. This
Yes.
section goes back, and then I had this surveyed, and I put a 50-foot on this. But this is the part, this section right here, that they're giving me, that they don't want to.
That you need a variance for.
I do, and I've accessed that. My delivery trucks go back there full of a big pontoon, and, you know, 35-foot delivery trucks get back in there, no problem. And of course, the UPS and all that Amazon stuff.
So the whole 10-acre piece of property
Yeah,
that you own right now, correct?
yes.
When did you purchase that? Or when was it,
I purchased I purchased the back section here,
Okay.
18 years ago, I guess, or more. My stepson had this, and he was not paying, so I paid for it, but he
But it was-
deeded that over to me.
okay, so this was all in one parcel?
At one time.
Yes, sir. And it
Eventual
only had
folks owned it.
only had a 35-foot access at that time, correct?
Exactly, and all these mobile homes were like along here and down, the drive goes here and back here, and there is a manufactured house back here.
Okay,
And there's a barn back here, so I was gonna build somewhere in here. This is electric lines are already there, and there, like I said, there's a well, and he's approved the septic back.
Can you point to the TV screen so the rest of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess,
Can-
okay, I might have got lost here.
I think this right here,
This
the
is
blue
where he's at.
circle there is where
Blue
you're talking
circle's
about.
where the property that you're
Yeah,
proposing.
wanting to do, I'm trying to find the drive,
It's at the
Right
top.
here's your
Oh, yeah.
drive.
yeah, so, right now, I have this right here where it has a manufactured house on it, but this goes to County Farm Road, which is right here, goes out to 41. This, part of the drive is this section right here is what we were talking about, needing the variance so that we could, build here. And I did try to buy something from this guy, and this lady doesn't even own hers, it's another story. But I wasn't able to do that, to buy an extra piece of that property. I put another culvert in and made it bigger, but, so, for me to be able to build on here, that's what I'm asking for, is a variance,
On
And
the
this-
James,
on James Robert Lane.
James Robert Lane,
exactly.
coming off of the County Farm Road.
And you were pointing that this area right here was the issue, right?
Yes.
That's 35 feet right here.
Yeah, that's.
And you have deeded, put 50-foot
Yeah, on this
going to
part.
the next part.
I have.
So you have widened it.
Right, I wanted to make sure that was done, so that's all, it's just that one section right there, and like I said, I tried to buy some, but I wasn't able to do that.
And that piece of property was cut out with a 35-foot access, correct?
Yes,
back
that
in-
is like back 50 years ago.
That's
Yeah.
before zoning, so it's a lot of record.
Oh, yeah, it's been there.
And even though you've got 50, it's fronting on the 5-acre tract
It
that
is.
you'll be traveling across in order to get to your 4.5 acre.
Well, I do that now.
Yes.
But I will have to go here, but yeah, that's right,
He's wanting to build a new house where the
yeah.
circle is.
Yeah, and I've, already done homework even on that. I've got some friends that build, and so I'm just gonna do a nice,
Yeah,
something like this has been built, for,
thank you.
yeah, brick house. And then this is actually the property, so it's pretty flat, and it's been already, I just didn't mow all this, but that's the, yeah. And then this is the driveway. Here's a couple pictures of, how the drive looks from the entry, and then, from the 5-acre back to the County
Okay.
Farm Road.
All right.
if you need
And this
it.
is, this is
Thank
gonna stay a 5 acre tract, right? You're not,
It is,
you're
I'm
not dividing that,
Yes,
okay?
yeah.
What are you gonna
It's
eventually-
private back there and. I
What
would
are you
like
gonna
it-
do with that other track?
My wife's daughter wants to move in there and live there.
So it will stay the same piece of property?
It'll stay the same, I won't change any of that. I mean, I would've done that and,
But it is 2 tracks.
it is 2 tracks,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But you can see I take care of the drive and, you know, it's, yeah, I've been like using it every day for. Yeah, this is off the county farm road here, so it's got
So we've
pretty,
only got 35 feet
yeah.
on the county farm road.
Yes, sir. And it is a lot of record.
And all the neighbors have been notified, looks like.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know if all of them have, you know,
yes.
talked to them about buying a piece of property from them. And, the one lady, her husband sold their, or they bought their property, but the lady that, they got, the people who owned it, they got divorced, and the lady never signed off on it, so she doesn't really own it. And the other guy, he, his son is kinda taken over that thing, and they owe quite a bit of money on it. He said he couldn't cut me anything out of it,
So,
to be able to give me a,
but Cindy did send them a letter.
Notify, yeah.
Notify, yes.
Okay.
You make the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second it.
Motion been made to approve and seconded by Kendall. Any other discussion?
Question?
All in favor? What is to vote?
Yes.
Favor, vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 5-0. Thank you.
thank you.
Long meeting. Moving on to agenda number 5. Variance access Wilcott, map 089, parcel 001.01.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment on this? Is there anyone here to present it? Okay,
Myself, Mr. Wilcott, will.
okay.
I'm Garth Seagroves, attorney of Crawford County, Tullahoma.
Repeat, please.
Garth Seagroves.
Okay, Garth.
I'm an attorney out of Tullahoma, and I was contacted by Mr. Wilcott, and I mistyped that, there's a W-O-L-C-O-T-T.
Okay, all I got is W-I-L.
Yeah, that's what I had to.
Okay.
So, Mr. Wilcott, he resides in, Davidson County, and this is a sizable farm. It's kind of cut up because 70 acres of it is, approximately 70 acres, is located in Coffee County, and the remaining balance is in Bedford County. Okay, so this farm was purchased by his father-in-law in the 70s. Oddly enough, my father was the real estate agent. But he purchased it, and it has been used as a farm pretty much that entire time. He passed away a few years back, and he and his wife purchased it from the other family members. So now the family still has it amongst themselves.
Seagroves is your last name?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You rolling, son?
That's what my mother told me.
Oh, wow.
But, sorry. That's what he always says. But the family intends and wishes to build a house, and it's a beautiful spot, I've been out there. It's in Bedford County, and I'm trying to find it right here.
I think
This is Nancy Lane, this is what we're talking about,
okay.
and they're wanting to build a home
That's what
up
he's
here
pulling up right
in this area, and it's a gorgeous spot, but it's also landlocked by the river and everyone around, and this is TBA property here, okay? So this Nancy Lane is a right-of-way, 50 foot, that comes down and services a home here. They also had a home, or there's a barn right here. Yeah, there's a barn right there, and there used to be a house here, and it burned down around 2022. So they're wishing to be able to have a variance to where they could have access for 2 residences based on this one road right here that cuts through TVA. This Nancy Lane, because this is TVA.
That's down across from the dam, right?
Yes, it is. Bedford County will not grant them a building permit unless there is a variance. So the variance we're requesting is in Coffee County. The home's gonna be built in Bedford County. Okay? And this is all TVA law. So I'm gonna pass it off to Mr. Wilcott.
I think Garth summed it up, but really this is a strikingly similar situation to what we were looking at a moment ago, where you've got one road that has always accessed this farm, and then it was cut off when TVA acquired their properties. Other than that one road in and out, like he said, you're bounded by river on one side and all other properties that are not related to this property at all. Like it's essentially landlocked because of that. There was never a formal easement established on that, but they did have a survey of that property done where it was established that Nancy Lane was a 50-foot right-of-way. But there again, to his point, it serves the house that's on parcel 2, and it also served the residence that was on parcel 8. Now that road has been there for a long time because the house on parcel 2 was built in 1900. So that, I mean, and I've got the TVA maps on this one as well too,
Who
but
maintains that road? Is there any maintenance?
it's a gravel drive, yeah. It would be the parties that, drive on it, you know? I can show you
I believe I attached a copy to the application of the old map. Yes.
just to
This
kind of
one?
show you, like, this would be the TVA map, and it shows the old road going down and splitting, going to this property. And so the old house that you see, right there is, it's like right in that area, and then the residence that he was talking about was kind of down in this area. So the road was there, you know, well before the lake, and has always been the only access into this farm.
Garth, the property is actually in Bedford County.
Well, the farm itself is divided. There's approximately 75 or so acres that's in Coffee County, which Nancy Lane is included on.
That is also, that's the
The
Coffee County
entryway.
portion, that's the Bedford County portion, and there's the road going down.
Lowell, if you look on the screen up here, you can see the county line.
Right.
Is right here.
It is this
Yeah.
road right here that we're concerned about,
Yeah.
this drive. And it
Well, he was
splits.
asking about the county. This is in Coffee County, I believe, right here.
And it-
All this is in Coffee, yeah, this is in
Yeah.
Coffee, and this sliver right here,
And this is
and
Bedford.
this over here, right.
Interesting
Right.
problem.
So,
But you're landlocked other than Nancy Lane.
yes, we are, or they are,
Oh, yeah. And is that a 50-foot right of way?
it is. Per the, I believe you can see it right here.
Are you talking about Nancy Lane
Yes.
Yes.
coming into
It's
the
on the
residence on
survey.
It's on
block
the
2?
survey.
This map,
Nancy Lane coming all the way into the residence.
I know it is, 'cause I saw
I
it.
understand.
That I'm looking at,
2, as well as the highlighted property there, yes, sir.
yeah.
So it comes down and then it forks, and one end of
Right
it
there.
goes into there, the other end goes into this farm.
Uh-huh.
You can't see where the house used to be.
And this is Mr. Wilcott, this is the, family
So,
member.
the son
Okay.
of Randy.
Okay.
So if you go further down on the image, you can actually see where the road goes to the old house.
Yeah, right.
Right there.
Right here. This is, it comes down, there's a gate right here, and then you can come through down here. This farm, this had been, farmed by Dr. Bills for a number of years, and here's the old barn right there, and the house that burned was right through here.
It's right where the mouse is. The
Right.
mouse is
Right there.
there.
Yeah, okay. I make a motion to approve.
The motion has been made to approve by Kendall. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Hannah has seconded. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes with a vote of 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Here you go, if you would pass that around. Moving to the last item on our agenda, special exemption request duplex in a RS1 zone, Larry Swan, 1398, 1388, 1368, Old Seminary Road. Is there anyone would like to publicly speak on this? And I'm assuming, okay. Are you the only one that would like? 2, 3?
No, I think there's a list.
Seen
Oh,
two other hands.
Okay, due to the time limits,
I'll do my best.
Under 20, Charlie.
please.
So I would like to provide you all with pictures of the property that's in question so that you can actually see these items.
Your name?
My name is Charlotte Graves, and I have property at 1223 Old Seminary Road. My neighbors and I have been to 2 meetings already regarding this duplex issue on Old Seminary Road. The first meeting, it was deemed the request was not proper at the time and would be revisited at the next meeting. September 26th of last year was the second meeting. And after much discussion between the board and the residents of Old Seminary Road, it was determined that Mr. Swan's request to locate duplexes on Old Seminary Road would be denied. Imagine our surprise when on May 16th, 2 duplexes came rolling down our road and was deposited on Mr. Swan's property. And then a third showed up on June the 11th. On May 16th, when I and other neighbors called the codes office to let them know that the duplexes were being moved onto the Old Seminary Road property, what were they going to do to resolve it? Because in our eyes, it had been resolved. And we were told that Mr. Swan had applied for a building permit that was approved by the codes department because he promised that they would be changed into single-party residences. How is that possible, we asked? Wouldn't they have had to already convert those buildings into single-party residences before they were moved? There was no answer. Who made the decision at the codes department to override the zone's ruling? I got no answer. Could the codes department come out and see what was happening? No, I can't leave the office. When will you be able to come out and complete and see the disregard of the original decision by the Board of Zoning Appeals? They could not say. But they told me, you can come make a complaint. At that time, I was sitting behind those duplexes being moved down our road. It took approximately 2 hours for each one of these to get down our road. We are on a one-way in and a one-way out. So, since I was sitting there in traffic, doing nothing but twiddling my thumbs, I decided to come to the codes department and was given a form to fill out, which I did because I was there. Was anyone there that I could speak to regarding this issue? No, they were busy. I was told I would have a follow-up on the complaint in about a week. I still have not received a follow-up call. I went back to my property and it was still blocked by these duplexes heading down the road. So now here we are with 3 duplexes that you can see in those pictures located within a half acre of each other on Old Seminary Road. Is it normal for someone to blatantly go against the codes and zoning board with 0 consequence? Now, an exception is being requested, and it was filed 11 days past the time that the first duplex was placed on its foundation. What is happening? What order was this approved in, and who approved it? Did the codes department encourage the property owner to go ahead and do what he wanted to do and ask for permits and exceptions after the fact? And they would be forced to give it to him because the items were already there. Why wouldn't that building permit have been flagged for a vote by the zoning commission, since it violates the original decision on September the 26th? Mr. Swan has created a high-density rental development right under your noses, with zero regard for your original decision on September 26th. His application for special exception simply states duplex as his reason and why it is needed. It should say, I spent a fortune on these 3 buildings, and I'm putting them where I want to regardless of what you think. I urge you to deny the special exception request for locating the duplexes on Seminary Road for the following reasons. It's a violation of the first decision that was made on September the 26th. The codes department overrode your decision on September the 26th. This is a rural county road and is not sufficient for high-density housing. It is in violation of the green belt that property already has. The neighbors here are advising the board that this is a high-density housing development and is not in keeping with the community and current housing and farmland located on Old Seminary Road, and it would be detrimental to the current residents and their property on Old Seminary Road. This sets a precedence, if it is approved, that more duplexes could be placed within this property, and that such actions can occur across all of rural Coffee County without the proper permitting or the code requirements being met. It also sets the precedent that some developers get what they want, while others do not. Please uphold your original decision from September the 26th. These items are completely and totally incompatible with the current properties on the road. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
Would you mind pointing out where you live at?
Uh,
Would you mind pointing out where you live at here,
Sure.
please?
It's right there next to this hill. Go up one, go to your right one.
Here?
Go to.
Right, and the properties are right here,
Yes.
within these 3 tracts.
Okay.
Did you say that Old Seminary Road was public, private, or county?
County,
It is a county road, it's on the
Yes.
county road map.
it is, yes, sir. And it dead ends,
Right here at the Air Force property.
with the Air Force Base.
Is that Old Seminary Hill Road or Old Seminary Road?
Old Seminary
Old
Road,
Seminary, the seminary starts after the curve.
yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Back the other way.
so when, people come down this road, that's it. Or they go to Hal's and, Craig's house back there, that's it, they're dead ends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I point out a technicality before anybody else comments? The original decision made by this board was null and void because the application had 1 parcel number. The first time they came before this board, the permit had 1 parcel number, asking to put 3 duplexes on 1 single parcel. That could not happen. The board addressed it, and I understand that the applicant, before they went through the process of subdividing their property, they wanted to know maybe if they could do it. It should have never been addressed by the BZA because the permit had 1 parcel number. So, in following up, they decided because they could, as Mr. Northcott pointed out, you can put a single family resident on the 3 different parcels without any special exception or permission of this board. So the structures, as I understand it, could easily be changed to single by just opening up the firewall that separates the duplexes. But having said that, the property owner has went back, they did parcel it out, and correct me, Mr. Northcott, if I'm wrong, you did draw up a plat with 3 separate parcels. Now the applicants have 3 separate permits for the 3 separate parcels tonight. So I think it's fully compliant with the,
For
board
a
can
single
address
family
it.
dwelling,
So,
for a single family dwelling, not a duplex. The permit is for a single family dwelling, not a multi-family dwelling.
well, we got 3 different meetings. I'm talking about the first meeting was the one that was null and void. The second one was for the single.
I'm talking about the permits are for a single family dwelling.
Yeah, that's where they're working right now. Tonight, they're asking for a permit for duplexes, which is allowed in our zoning resolution by this board's approval.
But
So,
they're already there.
just so you know.
Yeah, they are there, right now, on foundations.
And just as a point of order to what you said, I went back and I rewatched that meeting, and it was said at that meeting that they had already been surveyed out, had been parceled.
I'm talking about the technicality
Well,
of the permit.
I can't help with technicality.
The
It was said in that meeting.
I'm not gonna
at
argue
that
with
time.
anybody in the audience.
I'm not
If
gonna
you
argue,
have
I'm just
time-
telling you what was said in the
If
meeting.
you want to speak publicly,
Easy.
our chairman will allow you to speak.
Well, I
Okay?
just wanted
Give
to
us-
you gave a point of clarification. I wanted to give a clarification on that exact comment right now, so it didn't get lost.
Technically, the application for the BZA to address had one parcel number on it. It was
Not
null and
stated
void.
that way in the meeting. Please go back and rewatch that meeting. Because that question was specifically asked.
Any other public comments?
My name is Aaron Carmine. I live at 162 Revival Lane, which is the name of our driveway, but it is on Old Seminary Road. If you scroll back, this way, keep going just a little bit more. This is our house right here.
Okay.
Excuse me. My family and I live on Old Seminary Road. We moved to Tennessee some 8 years ago, purchased this land to build our dream home on, and we've now lived in that home for 4 years. Why did we choose Old Seminary Road? Well, like many other people, we wanted space to build on and enjoy the beauty of Tennessee. We didn't want to live in the city. We wanted room for our boys to roam. I think it'd be safe to say the vast majority of people that live in the country do so because it's quite the opposite of living in the city. In city limits, you have closer neighbors, smaller properties, and as we're seeing around here, rental complexes galore and a significant increase in traffic. People choose old county roads to build on because they don't want a city way of life, and I have to commend them for that. It is to no surprise that our area's been inundated with new builds, specifically larger multiple home developments and rental complexes. They're popping up everywhere. To my understanding, the counties try to mitigate this explosive growth to make sure not to overwhelm our resources and our infrastructure by limiting the amount of housing that can be built per acreage. A great move in my opinion, and one that must be enforced. With that being said, it's my opinion and my recommendation to not allow our county roads and their adjacent land to turn into apartment complexes. Apartment complexes drastically change any area they are allowed on. I have no qualms with Mr. Swan, and I can say that with 100%, I would be standing up here no matter who was looking for an exemption on our road. I do have several questions about the future if this special exemption is passed, such as what is the effect on our water pressure, adding 6 new rentals and 6 new families to our area overnight. Our road is deteriorating by the day. With the added traffic, this will only accelerate. In the nearly 8 years we have owned our property, nothing has been done to our road except irregular patch jobs that do not last. My main concern, however, is how many more exemptions will continue to be made. It seems as though in the county and even our local cities, we keep making exceptions to rule over and over, and wonder why citizens become frustrated. I have read many times on different social media platforms, people saying, why do we have rules if they're constantly ignored or given special permission to ignore? Who's to say this project stops at 3 duplexes? This area could easily house a dozen more duplexes, literally creating an entire community in that area that was never intended for it. Rentals by large have a very negative effect on neighboring property values as well. This is something widely agreed upon via statistics that anyone can simply look up. Something this department needs to heavily weigh when considering this exemption. This decision could affect many people negatively. Lastly, would you as any member on this committee want 6 very small, low-income rentals built next to your home or just down the road from your county country road home? Only you can answer that. I respect the decision, but for the sake of our county residents, please do not allow our beautiful county land and roads turn into congested rental complexes. I will add one thing, 'cause this is all I had written down. I feel like this is a classic case of don't ask permission, ask for forgiveness. They are duplexes. My dad owned several in town, in my little small town I grew up in Ohio. They were in the city. I don't think there was any intention to turn these into single-family homes. And I know that a lot of residents on our road feel that way. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Any other public comments?
Yeah. Oh, you go ahead.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Travis Reed. I live at 71 Seminary Hill Road. It's lot 2.14.
Name and
Travis Reed.
Okay, Travis,
Right here.
thank you.
Yes, sir. My property faces east, or my house faces east. It's in the middle of that property there at 5 acres. So again, we chose this area out of the serene nature of what's out there. We moved out there. The only thing there that was out of Robert Frost poem was House Shop. House Shop's been there for 100 years or so, whatever. I don't know, but it's been there for a while. I knew it was there when I bought my property. That's the only thing that looks commercial out there. I forgot Mr. Northcutt, so we got a concrete truck parking area behind my house, a couple of work trucks that are down. But in lieu of that, we've done 36 house foundations this year, crawl-space foundations that are equivalent to the ones they put in. I can see them from outer space, and I know when one has been segregated off to accommodate a load-bearing wall down the middle. Like Mr. Mayor pointed out, the firewall would have to be taken out to accommodate, make this a single family, correct? You'd have to have reasonable accommodations to support a LVL engineered beam underneath that house in order to support subtracting that load-bearing wall. These foundations were built just in accordance with regular piers. There's enough pictures to flood the market here today to look at. They were not put, as been, I'll just reiterate, they were not put in the intention of being single-family homes. It was my understanding they were told no, that this could not go in. They're there, as you can see. Also, the road, if you zoom in at the end of the word road on Old Seminary Road there's a culvert. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, trying to zoom, sorry.
Right here. There's a wet weather ditch that runs from the back of our property, spring-fed pond that runs under the road there. I shot elevations on that, and that road has dropped 4.5 inches.
Since somebody dug it out.
Since they put the, since they brought the duplexes in. So, that was before anything was done and after they were put in. So, I'm sure the county highway department needs to address that at some point, or at least somebody does. Again, like Mr. Carmine said, we just simply, we want a nice area for our families. 3 additional houses is one thing, and I get that, it follows code. Also, to my knowledge, somebody would have to be prime contractor on this, because as a homeowner, you're only allowed to do 1 or 2 years on your own property. And that's not for rental purposes. And that's what these are intended to be. Correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
Anyone else? Mr. Hal Hoke.
My name's Hal Hoke. How y'all doing?
Just one
Excuse me?
name.
Hal Hoke, Hal, Hoke. On the, 2.13, 2.12, and the, 1.02. That whole section right there. Okay, originally, this farm was the Parsons farm. 102 acres, roughly. Okay, went up for sale. I screwed up and didn't buy the whole farm when I had the opportunity. Basically.
It's all your fault.
It's all my fault.
Jim Parsons.
Jim Parsons. Was married to my mom before he passed away. But anyway, Melody and them, they split the farm up, sold it at auction. At that auction, we have restrictions on the property. Restrictions being, all lots are restricted to residential construction only. All houses must have a minimum of 1,450 square feet. All two-story houses must have a minimum of 1,100 square feet on the first floor. All garages are to be constructed of similar material of the house. No swine, no feedlots, no mobile homes, no junkyards, no cars on blocks, and they hand wrote in number 10, no chicken houses. Okay? Those are the restrictions that was placed on the property at sale when the lots were sold. I've got a plot of all the different lots. With that being said, the zoning is in place for a reason, and the Parsons farm was sold with specific restrictions. The request has been denied once already. Whatever the reasons that we are back here again, nothing has changed within the zoning. No duplexes are allowed in the zone. There are currently 3 duplexes on the property, with 2 of them already on foundation, which were permitted as single-family dwelling. Which means they're going to convert them to a single-family dwelling. A true single-family residence on a property is bound by restrictive covenants to be a minimum of 1,450 square feet. If this body agrees to allow the variance, that I totally believe it shouldn't, then the duplexes would have to be 2,900 livable square feet, equally divided. By no means do I feel that this should be an excuse to allow duplexes when the zoning doesn't allow it. What is the point of the restrictions in the deed? That's my question. They're there. They're in the deed. It's part of the deal. Currently, the road surface on Shipley Road at the intersection of Old Seminary Hill Road narrows down considerably to 15 feet and even 12 feet at the drain culvert that was mentioned. Whenever current residents, property owners, and other visitors meet during the travels throughout the day, someone is forced to move off to the side or stop and let somebody else travel because the road does not permit 2 vehicles. Unless you happen to be one of the neighbors that don't give a rat, he just tries to run over you anyway. So, further on down Seminary Hill Road, wait a minute. Right there at the corner, I don't know where y'all got the, anyway, put the map up. Anyway, right there at the corner, the road even narrows down even more, right here. Okay, this right here is already not passable. I have trucks come in and out of my business every day. However, I did buy that property quite some time ago. It is grandfathered in, my part of it, the commercial part. I bought the other, I screwed up when I didn't buy the whole farm, period.
Still your fault.
It's still my fault. Cause it was offered to me before everything was done, and anyway, that doesn't matter. Now, again, I'm gonna reiterate that the type of housing being proposed is simply not in line with the current housing that we have around. Travis got a, I don't know, $300,000 or $400,000 house, and Brad, they've got their house. The other neighbors has got considerable, I don't know, 1,800 square feet, whatever. The houses,
Hal, in your, in the deed of covenant, it specifies no duplexes.
does not say no duplexes. It specifies all houses must have a minimum of 1,450 square feet.
And how big are these?
Okay.
I haven't seen, you know now what the square footage on these units are.
I have no idea. I ain't been out and measuring. Hell, I ain't gonna go. I mean, hell, I had a dove shoot somebody got on the property over there. They, one of the neighbors, raised all kinds of canids for going to
These
get
are
the
long.
birds. So, I mean,
Looks like probably 16 to 18.
I'm not gonna try to get on the property. But anyway, which I own 20 acres out there. I don't wanna put duplexes in, but go ahead and let me. That's where I'm at.
I
Thank you.
understand.
Thanks,
Thank
Hal.
you, Hal.
Thank you. Question? I'd like to know, if those three structures are already there.
If you would, please come up and
All right.
that way we can understand.
Okay.
And state your name, please.
Carl Anderson?
Carl Anderson?
Yes.
Okay.
Question, if you have those three houses in place, isn't there a required separation between them? Each one of those, they gotta be 50 feet off the property lines, those blue lines, isn't that correct? And the side setback, 50?
I believe it is.
So they'd have to be at least
In
100
a,
feet
wait a minute,
apart,
wait a minute,
right?
wait a minute. In
They're
a
not in A.
C1, they're not in a, they're not in A1.
They're RS1.
They're in RS1, so they're zoned separate. And Mr. Mayor, do you have that?
Let me just show you the
The
yellow one.
district,
Not on that one.
No.
It is RS1, isn't it, 25 feet
yes,
Right there, yeah.
setbacks
yes.
in a RS1? That whole area is zoned for an RS1, it's not a A1 agricultural. Even though it is agriculture area, it is zoned for an RS1, the whole area is.
But if you change the zoning, that changes the setback.
Yeah.
Yes, to 25. We're not changing the zoning today. It is already zoned an RS1. Okay? So, to my understanding, it's 25, 25, 25 in a RS1.
So they'd
zoning.
have to be 50 feet apart.
Yes, sir. 25 foot from the property line of that lot.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just saying,
So,
but that, there would be no
Minimum.
way, there would be no way for any of them to be closer than 50 feet.
yes, sir. To my understanding, that's the way the, RS1.
I'd argue, but I don't know, because I haven't been out there with a tape measure, I'd argue that it'd be questionable if they are.
Okay, well, that would be
I'll
up
check
to
it
our, zoning,
Codes.
that would be up to our zoning, individual. He's a sheriff's deputy. I think that is his job.
Okay.
But, I mean, I'm not telling you not to, but, that
Well,
would
I
be,
gotta walk on the
okay,
won't take long.
okay. And I understand that.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on this? Okay.
My name is Darren Gattikin. I reside at 1318 Old Seminary Road in Manchester, and I'm the only property that shares a property line with the proposed duplexes. First off, I'd like to clarify the road collapsing that was stated by Mr. Reed earlier. That has been already addressed months ago with the highway department, with JoJo Dobson. And that was due to Mr. Reed digging out the tile there because he didn't like the appearance of his property line. Now I'll continue on. I know many of you here tonight because
Given by Mr. Barclay to do that.
I know many of you here tonight that I have met throughout the 18 years that I worked in law enforcement in this county. That being said, I've dealt with just about every situation known to the profession, including hundreds of neighbor disputes. Most of those calls, I ended up asking the complainant, do you want anyone else telling you what you can do on your own property? So why are you concerned with what they're doing on theirs? After the last hearing where people came together to bash my in-laws over what they wanted to do on land that they purchased, they pay taxes on, and by all means should be able to do as they please on, one neighbor in particular has tried to make things personal and started to harass our family. Excuse me. We've been documenting the harassment for months now. We have had sheriff's deputies called to our property on multiple occasions with unfounded calls, all originated from the same origin. The extremely funny thing about the situation, the person complaining has already had contact with the codes department about running his business from a county residential property and continues to do so to this day with multiple pieces of commercial equipment in and out daily. Knowing the previous violation, I could have called codes, caused that individual issues. We have not, for the simple matter that we don't care. I didn't buy that land, and I don't pay his property taxes. Previous complainants mentioned the added traffic and wear on Old Seminary Roadway. Old Seminary sees multiple 18-wheelers daily, plus the 8 to 10 employees that are back and forth to Wolfpack Industries, and not to mention the residences at the end of Seminary Hill. None of them continue straight to where these new residences are on the portion of the road that has almost no traffic. Now, I'm not an asphalt expert, but I can assure you that loaded 18-wheelers run 60 mile an hour down a county road are more dangerous and much heavier than 6 cars that could possibly be at the duplexes. Where safety concerns, road damage, that needs to be addressed. At the end of the day, the only ones the duplexes will affect is me and my family. I'm the only residence they are close to, I'm the only residence that will share a property line, and the only residence that will have to deal with the extra noise. I didn't purchase the land, I didn't pay taxes on it, therefore it's none of my business what they do. The Swans are a very tight-knit family. Any of you think they would allow anyone that could remotely be a problem, or have someone there that might eat the neighbor's dogs and cats, especially next to my home where their grandkids live, is sadly mistaken. Seeing that the sheriff's office and codes have been called out multiple times, anyone that wants to complain about anything ongoing at either my location or the Swans property, get out your checkbook. If you can add enough zeros to that check without it bouncing, you can very easily control what's going on there.
Thank you. Hello. Brenda. What?
81 Shipley Road.
If you would, spell your name for Mr. Dick.
Okay.
He's got to keep up a record with it.
P-E-T.
B-E-T?
P is in Paul.
Oh.
E-T-I-T-J-E-A-N. Is it cool?
Got you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm too short for all this, so bear with me. Okay, we live on 81 Shipley Road. I was actually in the auction. I actually bid on that track and I bought it. We have built this 6 years ago. Everything was nice and quiet and peaceful. That's all I ever wanted. I was from a big area. And it just seems, I got caught up in that traffic twice. I seen that poor guy that was pulling the trailers hit mailboxes. That's how wide these things were. I'm like, oh, I'm going down Brandon Town, and I made my way back. I don't like conflict. I don't like confrontation. However, people gotta calm down and work together. Mr. G, I can't say your name.
It's a good thing you don't need to.
I just want to get along. But on the other hand, I've had experience with rentals. I've had experience with duplexes. You do see cars on blocks. You do see things. This is a very narrow road. I just want it to be a single-family house if at all possible. I think single-family houses would be better for the neighborhood if we had them. And everybody getting along.
Do you agree? Does anybody, would you guys want duplexes at your houses or your housing areas? Or, see what I'm saying? Cause we've worked very hard to build what we have, everybody in this room has. And I just don't want it to deteriorate because of something very simple that could be very easily fixed. That's all I got to say.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Brenda.
Okay. Hello, what is your name?
My name is Vera Lance. I'm married to Danny Lance, and we were the ones that sold the property.
Okay.
It was family land. We're the ones that remained out there. So we wanted restrictions put on there so that we could protect us in our neighborhood. To keep, I'm not a person that talks and speaks publicly.
Where is it you live, Brenda?
Vera.
Vera.
I live at 137 Shipley Road, and it was 110 acres that we divided off to auction. You know, like I said, we were the ones that lived out there. And, we just wanted to, I mean, I do think that people should be able to do things on their property, but if you're gonna do duplexes, go to a place that allows it. We had restrictions put to protect our neighborhood and to keep it, I'm Jim Parsons' daughter-in-law, so, and we spent a lot of time out there, so it was a hard decision to actually cut it up and sell it. But, we've gotten some great neighbors. There's some really good folks that's moved in out there. And why do you have restrictions? Why do you go through those steps if people can just do what they want to and then come back and try to get it allowed to be done? That's it. I'm not a
Okay.
talker.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name's Mike Pettigene,
Pardon?
the husband to the little short girl that come up here.
Mike Pettit?
Pettigene.
Mike, yeah.
Spelled the same, unfortunately.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, I don't agree with that at all. You might be the neighbor to these projects, but it affects all the values of all our properties out there. We happen to live next to a house that unfortunately, our neighbor passed away, and his daughter took over this property and turned it into a rental. Well, since you're an ex-cop, you ought to know this. You probably knew this. This guy's in jail now. Property's going to shit. And I've got a property that's right next to it, and I keep the knife ashore. I wish the county would do something to hold up these things anyway. We got a neighbor on the corner that has a freaking junkyard. There's cars that's been sitting there for 3 or 4 years, weeds as tall as the car. There's car parts all over the driveway.
Let's stay on the agenda if we
But
can.
what I'm saying is, we've made complaints about that, and nothing ever happened.
I understand, but let's stay on the agenda
All right,
if you don't mind.
my value is, if we have this as an investment, and if my investment goes down because people don't wanna live around apartments, that affects my end of it. And I didn't buy this to lose money. I bought this to invest and make money. So, you guys can take that as you want, but rentals are not a good thing for anybody in any neighborhood, unless you got them in a designated area. Hell, if you're gonna allow this, you might as well let somebody put in a trailer park.
I understand. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Any other public comments?
Brad Graves.
All right, Brad.
I figured that was gonna be the question you asked.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
That's quite all right. That's quite all right. We'll rehash some of the things that have been said. I'll try to shorten what I've got here, since everybody has said pretty much the same thing. But back in September 24, the Swans tried to get their land zoned duplexes. During the meeting, this committee was given a petition showing that the overwhelming majority did not support the special exemption allowing duplexes to be moved in. At the end of the meeting, they were obviously denied that overwhelmingly. It was a unanimous vote to deny them. And it has not changed tonight, as you can see, that the overwhelming majority of people that are here at this meeting still oppose having these duplexes out there. We fast forward 9 months to today, where they are trying to get an exemption again for the same pieces of land. Nothing's changed with the infrastructure. The road is still what amounts to being a lane and a half wide, and no fire flow studies that I know of have been done. The only difference between then and now is that they went ahead and moved these 3 duplexes in. This went against the unanimous ruling of this committee and the wishes of their neighbors. What the Swans have done is akin to a child taking a cookie after they were told not to, and now they are asking for forgiveness. The feelings of everyone out here has not changed. The infrastructure has not changed. On June 16th, the Manchester Housing Authority approached Manchester Planning Commission with a request to rezone 20 acres to be developed specially for duplexes. Grumblings of people not wanting them located there have already started. That was just a few weeks ago. So this isn't just about us not wanting duplexes. This is a county-wide sentiment. Everywhere you go, where people have moved duplexes in, they will all tell you that they wish they had not have been able to move those in. Duplexes belong in the cities where they have proper infrastructure already in place, not down a rural tar and chip single-lane road. And I'm not convinced that the Swans should have even been given a permit to move these duplexes in. Under TCA 55-7-205, section 1680-70112, additional requirements for super heavy or extra overdimensional movements, paragraph 1, movement of super heavy and or extra overdimensional loads may be permitted provided that the highway can accommodate the move, and move is not considered to be detrimental or unsafe for the other traveling public. For the purposes of the rule, an extra overdimensional means that the width of the vehicle and load exceeds 16 feet. I believe blocking and preventing traffic from passing for several hours would be considered detrimental and unsafe for the traveling public. Remember, Old Seminary Road is one way in, one way out. I'll skip that. They had blocked the traffic. The reason it was being blocked was they had to come in and scab a bunch of stuff together to span that culvert. And they had equipment out there, so there was nobody able to pass while they were out there on it. They did not have, per the code, people in orange waving around traffic in front or behind of this load while it was setting in this area. By allowing the duplexes to stay on the property, the Swans have in fact created a major subdivision. Just recently, the county decided that any developer building 5 or more residences constitutes a major subdivision and is mandated to increase the water line size to 6 inches back to another 6-inch line. The current water line size on Old Seminary Road is believed to be 4 inches. I contacted the water department to ask for sure. I have not gotten anything back from them. I realize that was for A1, but this should also apply to other rural areas of the county where proper infrastructure is lacking. The Swans are trying to change the restrictions, and this change is not for the betterment of the area. The buildings were moved in and are not representative of the homes and simply do not belong because there are no other duplexes in the area. When the Swans started this, they gave zero consideration to the effect to the area and how it would negatively impact their neighbors. That statement reigns as true today as it did 9 months ago. This has created rifts and tension between neighbors that did not exist before, as we've seen here tonight. The only way to put an end to this is to remove the duplexes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else that has public comments has anything new to say that has not been said?
The only thing I want to say is that I remember Tim Morris. I think
Yes,
his
sir.
name. He was very adamant about the busing. In the previous meetings, he even made the comment that he didn't even want the bus to go down Seminary Hill Road.
So your semis can go, but
And-
the bus can't?
And
Makes good sense.
it was,
We have to take that up with Mr. Morris.
It's
Over the
but
bus.
Mr. Morris ain't here, Mr. Morris is not here.
I know that.
So, but I just remember in the meeting, what was said as far as that, and along with also emergency vehicles, raised that.
So what I have here is, Tim has visited the site and he has confirmed that as long as a 30-foot drive is put in place, which has been granted by the Swans, and they are, have agreed to accommodating that, Tim is good with it.
Okay.
Or it suffices
That's
his,
that's the
it
bus
suffices his needs, I should
That
say.
that was a letter submitted to us and signed by Tim Morris in his absence, and he is on vacation, a planned vacation. So no one else has anything new to say, other than what has not been said? Would someone, with, the Swans would like to present this application for a special exemption?
My name is Cheryl Swan.
All right, Cheryl.
C-R-Y.
Cheryl, SWAN. We apologize for not getting these to Cindy prior to the meeting. But my husband is out of town, so I apologize that he cannot be here because he's dealt with this mainly, not myself. I did email the picture of what they would look like if you guys do grant us this. This was obviously done with an AI program. We took a picture of the duplexes, which I see that my neighbors happily provided to you. So we took a picture of one of them and then ran it through the AI program and said, we would like to put, white vinyl siding, black roof, black shutters, black door, and that's the picture that we presented to you because that's how we would like for these to ultimately look. We take pride in our property. We have other rental properties, and I'd be happy to provide my neighbors with those addresses to where they could go by and look at those to see that they are very well maintained. It is my understanding that this board cannot make a decision based on our deed restrictions. So I would ask you to strike the comments made by my neighbor. I would like to clarify also that there is 102 feet. That's the smallest distance between the 3 duplexes. It just goes beyond that.
From the property line right here. I know this is a drawing,
Yeah,
but this driveway goes to this duplex, and you
we have
have
a 50-foot easement there.
to this duplex.
Were you guys provided with the plat that was approved
No.
by both the county and the city previously?
No, we are not.
I brought a copy of that. I'd be happy for you guys to look at it.
Okay,
It's 4.31 acres. That was taken out of our total acreage. You pass it around.
okay. There you go.
I can't
Look
believe
at
it's
it.
the same thing we got on the screen there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
just
that,
the,
is
it
that
shows
it?
the easement,
Yes.
I think.
I
It
got it.
shows.
The back lot's
does
called
it?
a flag lot. Driveway
Yeah.
down the center. We also have the 50-foot
Yeah.
easement here
There
to
you go.
the side. We have additional acres behind my son-in-law's house, so that will give us driveway to that. We actually reside at the very dead end of the black roof that you see. There was a very good point that my son-in-law made. I can't go on without saying, there's 2 people in this room that's known my husband's family for a very, very long time. They know what kind of man he is, and they have to know and believe without a doubt in their mind and heart that we would never bring any type of renter out there that would do any harm to any child on that street. My own grandkids live there. Like I say, we've had rental property for 14 years. We have a very in-depth lease agreement that I would be happy to provide to every one of you. It does not allow for junk cars, cars on blocks. Doesn't allow for a vehicle that is not in operation. We do a criminal background check on everyone. We also make them provide us, if they have a cat or dog or any kind of animal, that they have proof of vaccines. We make them provide us with proof of income to make sure that they can afford that home, because we don't want a revolving door in any of our rental property. I could go back and probably the person that's lived in one of ours, the shortest period of time is about 2.5 years. And everybody else has been in our units a lot longer. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have for me.
Carol, just a comment. There is definitely a need, there is a place and desire for duplexes.
Yes, sir.
I have some family members that live in duplexes and
Do you wanna see the survey?
they allow them to live a little cheaper
Yes, sir.
than what they would, and therefore they can save for a future home and other things, and for that reason it works out good. And I don't know of any problems that either of them have with their neighbors. That's just a comment.
Yes, sir.
Were you anywhere, you or your family, anywhere along the line, were you aware of this covenant that was initially put in place by the Parsons?
The deed restrictions?
Yes.
Yes, sir. It is in my deed to my property. Yes, sir. I am aware of it. It doesn't say
Okay.
anything about a single family home. It just says that a house or a home, I'm sure they provided that to you, about the restrictions of the square footage.
Yeah.
Under roof. This is a 24/72 unit. So if you add that together, it's a little over 1,700 square feet.
So it does meet the deed restrictions then?
That, again, I don't think that that can be considered in the BCA.
Yeah, that would be a civil,
Sure.
yeah.
Court.
Yeah.
But
I had another real good question, but can't think what it is.
Cheryl, is this in the urban growth boundary?
Yes, we are in the UGB.
Okay.
Yes. We are. And this 30-foot, that was discussed by my husband and Tim, and again, I apologize that Larry's not here to tell you that whole conversation. But in addition to that, once we knew what we would be required to have in order to provide for a bus to come down there, we then went back to Benton Bartlett, even after he had signed off on our original plat, and he said, yes, without a doubt, that would work.
Cheryl, from these, I don't know which one, but from some comments that we've been shared with us tonight, I think I heard right that your request was denied by the planning commission.
For egress and ingress.
Mm-hmm.
From the
Correction,
BZA.
BZA.
From the BZA,
The
not planning commission.
Yeah, the planning commission approved for us to move the units to our property. And that's quite a process. These came from Murfreesboro. So it took days to get them here.
They've been behind gondola for months.
And the reason why, I guess I have to explain everything, but the reason why they were, the home mover almost died. He was in the hospital for weeks. The home mover, the one who moved those to our property. So there was a huge delay in getting them there.
Okay, let me just verify a couple of things. So I wanna verify 4 things. So they essentially preserve the look of the single-family home. They're not
That's
gonna get any larger looking, like apartments, so, from what you've presented.
That is correct.
So, the burden for the road and the driveway has been addressed as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the lots and setbacks, you've got 100 feet in between them, which meet our criteria.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
How do you handle the single family zoning thing?
The BCA has the right to
Yeah,
grant us an exception For
you're
a
talking,
duplex.
yes, it is an exception for a duplex, but that is a civil matter from the previous landowners and the new landowners, and we don't take care of civil matters. I mean,
We're zoned RS1.
we're zoned, you're zoned RS1, and RS1 is duplexes are acceptable in RS1 if they come to the BZA and get permission. That's what we have to make. That's the decision that has to be made here.
May we ask the question of Ms. Swan?
Miss who?
Ms. Swan.
Oh, yes, yes.
We've had 9 months for you to come up to my door.
How many more duplexes will be showing up?
I reserve a 50-foot easement on my property to access my property in the rear. I have no desire to bring any more duplexes. And to answer your question, the whole reason why these duplexes came into my lap, and it was sent from God, if we want to go there. My father passed away in May of last year, and my mother doesn't want to live in her house in town by herself any longer. And I got a call from Rube Morgan when I was desperately trying to find a way to get my mother to my property. And he said, I've got 3 duplexes. And I said, well, this could be the answer to my prayers.
Good, keep them
That's
single family.
irrelevant to
Keep them single
You're
family.
moving the city to the county by doing
Keep them
that.
single family.
A high-density rental area is 20 units or more.
So that's what your plan is.
This one, I'm sure will be a great landlord. I'm not questioning that. My only and last comment will be is the future. We're all gonna pass away one day. We're all not gonna be here.
So why are you asking that question then?
The request is only for these 3 lots. It is not for the whole property. I can say that.
My point is one day these are all gonna be sold and bought by somebody else who might not be the best landlord.
Well, I'm not going anywhere, so nobody's got because nobody's got the money to run me off, so they're not going anywhere.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and put it that way.
Are you,
1026 address there.
I will let you have my,
Across the street is commercial, correct?
Yes.
He's got some commercial equipment and stuff on it.
I wasn't here last September.
He uses it for work a lot.
So there's tractor trailers already coming down the road. It's,
Yeah, and my dad has a lot there. We move
RS1
equipment
allows for
in and out.
duplex with special exception. I just bought a lot that's RS1, so.
Please consider your neighbors.
any other, Mr. Lowell's still reading? You're still reading, go ahead, I'm on.
Whiskey Trails can, yes. I was
That's
there
me.
today. I had a salad.
I
I saw
probably
you.
used to.
I saw you, yeah.
With a cover and soot and it's greasy
I didn't even
brown.
pay attention. I was hard at it myself, just stopping.
There are duplexes like across the highway, on the Oklahoma highway, within several miles of our property, like, I'd say less than 3. You know where I'm talking about?
I know,
Yeah, so it's in the district like the code says.
yeah. Let's,
Well, it's so broad, it takes some time to digest it. I
Yeah.
just noticed that, and I wasn't at that meeting, and that's why I have no recollection of it. It was first a motion to approve, and then, there was a motion to disapprove, it was disapproved.
yes,
And it referenced that section.
yes. And it was in those minutes. And you've got those, yeah, there they are.
I might side with whoever would stand here and fan me at this part. We get it.
Do you need this back, Cheryl?
No, you can
Get a bring a
send-
fan
make
next
sure I
time.
have
I have your your survey, you do.
Our plans,
I still have a copy of that.
That's your survey.
Yes, you do need that.
Thank you. Let me get in your files.
Oh, yeah. I've got a mess.
Air conditioning would be nice too.
I didn't mention that the plat was, well, maybe I did mention the plat was already approved for, the lots, the
Yes.
lot sizes. And that we have our septic permits and everything, so.
So it's already been divided.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe Mayor Hunt remembers that it was subdivided and approved for the subdivision, but I think you were correct in saying that it still was one parcel because that had not gone through Alyssa's office yet, so now it is in 3 parcels.
Correct, that's why you've paid for 3 separate,
Right.
things.
Okay. I think, is anyone have any other questions for Cheryl at the table?
No.
Thank you.
Mr. Lowell? Are you ready to entertain a motion, Mr.?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion been approved by, or made by Anna,
Second.
seconded by Summer. Without any other further comment, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
One opposed. 4. It passes. Moving on to, down the agenda, anything else on the other?
You know, it's a sad day when a group of unelected people can make decisions like this. There's no recourse against any of you being voted out for this very thing. It's sad.
Thank you. Anything else needs to let the room clear out?
The meeting dates, which generally this board meets as needed, but I feel like they're gonna be needed quite a bit. You know, I feel like the 5-acre minimum parcel in our A1 districts, I'm pretty sure the BZA is gonna be asked.
If you don't mind, hey, Hal, if you don't mind, we're still trying to conduct the meeting. If you don't mind, yeah, if you don't mind, step outside. I apologize, we're still trying to conduct the meeting.
The minor subdivision variance that was included in the zoning resolution amendment is probably gonna fall to the Board of Zoning Appeals. The,
This copy of last month's minutes to turn in.
With staple? Yeah.
minimum lot size is a function of the zoning resolution. So if to change anything by variance in the zoning resolution comes here. There are certain criteria of our subdivision regulations that will fall to the planning commission only. So that's just something to keep in mind, that you guys are probably going to be asked to, somebody's gonna have 8 acres and they wanna cut off 2 for, to sell or to give to their kid or whatever. I'm pretty sure it's gonna come here
When do you think this might start, Dennis?
quickly,
Very soon?
a lot. Your very next meeting's gonna be next month. We'll probably have a bunch on it.
It's gonna be very hard to get people to understand between emotion and regulation too, I think.
Oh, yeah, it is.
That's part of it.
There was a constituent gave me a call regarding a property out on Fredonia Road that he had purchased, I think it's 7 or 8 acres, and he had planned on cutting it into 3 parcels. And I told him he had a pathway, he had about 2 pathways. Either make his parcels bigger, I think he had enough to make 2 5s, I really did. Or have it rezoned, just like that individual that's walking out. It's sad that a bunch of unelected individuals, well, the way our major subdivisions were approved by the planning commission, because we had one lot size all across the board. We did not differentiate between A1, C1, RS1. Everybody had the same lot size. It just sort of defeated the purpose of having different zoning districts. So we addressed that. So the A1 district is now 5 acres is the minimum parcel size. And what the beauty of that thing is, the state law, any parcel 5 acres or larger requires no permission from anybody. You can have, you can go down a road a mile long, as long as you're going 50 foot, you can go side by side endlessly with 5 acre lots without asking permission. Now, if you have to build your interior street, that becomes a major subdivision, even if it's 2 parcels. If it requires a new street, then it becomes a major subdivision by stipulation of that new street, even if it's just 2 or 3 parcels. So anyway, having said that, the individuals that want to go to the smaller lot sizes have 2 pathways right now. Coming here and ask for a variance to the lot size requirements in the zoning resolution, or go before the planning commission and ask to be rezoned to say C1 or the RS1. That does allow smaller parcels. Then the planning commission gives it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If it's a thumbs up, either way, if it's a thumbs down, the applicant can actually go forward to the full legislative body to overturn the thumbs down that was given to their request by the planning commission. That way, your elected officials do have a voice, and that is the reason you guys are 5 unelected, and there's titles for each one of you. You know, there's a farmer. Summer is the associate now, right, Summer?
Yes.
You're the associate. Very important to have the associate member, because it would have been just 4 individuals here making a decision with the absence, were it not for her being the associate. So it gave 5 full members, and you were supposed to have no favors. You don't owe anybody nothing because they voted for you and all that. You're an independent thinker making decisions based on the information on this table and nothing else. So that's what I wanted for you guys to be thinking about. You're going to be asked to create minor subdivisions by variance, and it's only going to be 1 or 2 parcels. You know, that's what I think. There might be somebody come in here with 6 acres and say, I want 3 2-acre parcels. That might happen. Who knows? I'm going to suggest that those, Robertson County has done this and been dealing with it for quite some time. And it seems to me that most of the activity in Robertson County is people are asking to be rezoned. That way the planning commission and the full legislative body does it every time. And it's a 2-step process, but it can happen pretty easily. And I don't know that any of them's really getting turned down up there, but something to study. You know, you can.
If you could get.
Google it.
Yeah.
Does that guy need to be addressed or anything?
This one?
Uh-huh.
He's with the newspaper.
What one?
The newspaper.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
We can.
He's gonna sit there till we adjourn, so I'm ready for it, guys.
Oh,
Let's
boy.
go.
Sammy, this is the signed minutes
Okay.
from last.
You need to make a
Okay.
motion to adjourn.
And then
I know.
this is,
Somebody,
this is
do I,
the
Any other
action
business?
of what happened on each issue that tonight.
okay. All right. We'll get them stamped. Stamp should be right behind you.
Damn.
Don't we have to stamp them,
Know what?
the minutes?
Yes,
Yes,
the ones that were just approved.
yes.
Where's the stamp, are you stamping, Dennis?
I can.
All right, why don't you just stamp it? Wow, what a job.
Are we entertaining motions now?
We are entertaining a motion to adjourn and animate it.
I'll second.
And it's seconded. All approved, say aye.
Uh,
Aye.
Aye.
Turn your microphone